Welcome to the Indie Standard. I'm your host, Angel, and today we have a very prestigious guest, and I will introduce you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything set up. So
No
you,
worries.
you can't hear my AC unit, can you?
No,
Okay, cool.
no. Yeah, no worries. Life is hectic, so I get it.
Yeah, I had a couple of roofs I had to inspect this morning and had an adjuster meeting, so pretty busy
Yeah.
day.
How was that? How was the roofing business for you?
It's doing pretty good.
Is
I've
it
been on this side since like 2015, so it's majority of what I've done.
awesome? And I see that you're also an actor, writer, producer, and a model.
Correct.
How does that all feel like to just navigate through all of that?
It's been pretty cool. I actually never intended to actually be an actor. I did something in high school, but I was mostly on production side, and we did a short, and our lead actor didn't know that he had to be on camera, so he tried to back out.
Yeah, in high school, didn't you do what was it? The Goat Man prophecies?
Yes, I did. uh, I was part of the creative team, and I was supposed to be the DP on it, the head camera, and we were going to do it more like a film. And whenever our lead actor had kind of got cold feet, we ended up turning the cameraman into a character, and he got to run around with the camera. And actually, that's when I first started doing interviews because I was doing interviews for the film. And so it was pretty fun. Just kind of crazy how everything went, because after that I took a really long break, and then my family had joined a church down here, gone back to a church down here and in Texas, and they I ended up writing a couple of plays for them, but they were pretty biased. So they were kind of comedy, and unfortunately, it's not something that could be found. They did record them, but I don't know what they did with the recordings. But after that, I did nothing for a long time. I just worked and went on with life. And then about 3 years ago, my ex wanted to be famous. And so we were at a powwow, and I was approached by Audrika Young, who is an extra on Yellowstone and Bass Reeves and all that. And she told me, hey, they're looking for more indigenous actors. And my ex was, she's Métis, but part of the Métis Federation. However, she looks very German, but she really wanted to do it. And so I was like, hey, go ahead. All our friends that we met here today, they're going to be there. And, she's like, well, I don't want to do it alone. I was like, you won't be, they'll be there.
Yeah.
I was busy trying to build another roofing company with a friend of mine. And
So, what pulls you back into acting?
basically, she begged me for like a week to do it with her. So I decided to go ahead and do it. And then I ended up just kept getting booked after that one. We got booked for 3 days, then we got booked for 2 more days, then I got booked for 2 more days again. And then that was all for Bass Reeves. And then after that, I just kept getting booking requests after booking requests. Did about 15 projects my first year. And I was like, hey, this is easy work. Just standing, walking around. And then I started getting asked to do roles. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Just keep going with it. So I've done a couple modeling jobs. I did a music video with ESTG, which is, I think so far the modeling it was Apple corporate training, uh, has been my biggest paying job. The second one is the music video. And then now I've done a couple of different films, and I just recently got signed by an agent after 3 years, which is pretty cool. I was like, man,
Awesome.
this industry moves fast.
Yeah, it can. It very well can. What music video did you do?
So it was ESTG. He has a short film slash music video for El Toro,
Oh, okay.
and played a train conductor on there.
Oh, yeah. You sent me the photo, and I was like, I gotta look into that.
It was pretty cool. They didn't tell me what I was doing, and they just said, hey, we need you for this day. So I went down there, they didn't film my scene that day. We ended up filming the next day, but they paid for a hotel night that stay hotel stay that night and then the following night. And all I did was like maybe about 20 minutes of filming. It was just a little clip that came out, but it's 20 minutes to do, and that's whenever they told me what I was doing. I had no clue. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. It's always nice when things work out like that.
Yeah. And
So I
then
see you also have a history of mixed martial arts.
yes, I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, growing up, my mom was a boxer, so she taught me how to box.
Oh, nice.
And then in high school, I wrestled. And then I did a little Greco freestyle wrestling in high school. After high school, I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and Shih Ryu. And I did a little MMA fighting for a little bit there in Arizona. And just, I mean, never really went anywhere. So uh, I was pretty, I was all right to get out of it. I ended up in Montana and got into a street fight and, got hit in the head with a 2x4 and almost
Oh,
detached the retina in the back. And so they told me that I couldn't fight anymore. That's how it went nowhere.
yeah. Unfortunately, things like that does happen.
Yeah.
I used to do Sogu Bujitsu too back a while back, but
Oh, nice.
yeah, I loved it. And I even told my husband I'm like looking into what it would take to like get into like women's fighting, and he's like, "Don't do it."
Yeah. I used to recover a lot quicker and it took me a while to recover after fights. But now I just don't bounce back like I used to.
Unfortunately, that happens to all of us.
Yeah. uh,
So, if you could have a dream role, what would it be?
I would love, I mean, I know that I think they stopped production on any future Mortal Kombat movies, but I would have loved to do Nightwolf. It's always been one of my favorites from Mortal Kombat.
That would be an awesome role. So, how do you find the character process for your films that you've been in?
uh, a lot of it is I read the breakdown
Hmm.
and I kind of go through different lines and try to figure out what emotions are being felt there. And for me, look, I don't try to put on a character or an act. What I think of is how would I have reacted if I had been in their situation growing up or had my life been different? And then I base that on how I build my character. It's, I mean, it's been pretty cool. I mean, I've been in sales for a long time. And so I actually based a lot of that based on my experience in sales, because I do a lot of door to door stuff. And so whenever we're going door to door, we actually have to show empathy, uh, build a lot of trust in a very short amount of time. And I feel like I've had a lot of improv off of that. And so that's where a lot of my acting is improv versus, I guess you would say method. And so, but I take a few weeks to kind of try to come up with a character. I read them over and over. I try to memorize my lines, and then I adjust my attitude towards it. When I was on the set of Anderson County, I showed up already in character. And so, the makeup artist, because they all saw me from the previous shoot that I did before, and they were like, little dog's got an attitude today. He's in a mood. I don't know if he's happy or not. I think he's mad at me." And my buddy Chris, he walked up, he goes, because this is Chris Siegler's the producer and the creator for it. And he walked up, he goes, "You were already in character, weren't you?" I was like, "Yes, sir, I sure was," because I didn't break character till the end. And he goes, "I could tell." He goes, "Makeup artist thought you were mad at her." I was like, "No, not at all. I was just staying in character." And I found out some different things had changed because initially I was supposed to have a spouse on the film, and then they had to change up the character and write her different. And so it became my mother. And then I found further trauma while they were filming. I saw some changes to the script, and I was like, okay, I need to work that in now. And so I just kind of, I guess I just go with it. It's, it just kind of comes to me. It's really hard to explain, to be honest.
No, I mean I get it. It's kind of like a switch. When you turn it on, it goes on, and you do your thing.
Exactly. And
So, what
so,
upcoming projects do you have?
well, one of them that's coming up that'll be should be getting released towards the end of this year is Anderson County.
Hmm.
Uh, the American Coyote just got picked up by a big distributor, which I had as one of my first speaking roles in a feature film. And I guess it got released on YouTube for about 3 days, had so many views that a distributor picked it up, and so now I gotta wait to watch
Nice.
it.
Nice.
And then I've done a couple of things in San Antonio with Lions Act Productions, and one of the films that I did that is what was it called? Legend of the Donkey Lady, which they removed because they are about to include it in their new film that they're doing. And so I don't know if they're going to
Okay.
still use some of the footage from it or if they're changing anything up about it. I'm still waiting to hear back for that.
Well, that's nice that you have all that coming up. Where can anybody catch your upcoming work?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. They'd have to keep an eye on my page or, go to the American Coyote page on Facebook or even Anderson County page. I'll be sharing updates from there. I know that Anderson County, they plan on having like a theatrical release for it as well too, a red carpet event. And so I know that Chris is actually in LA right now working on a lot of the editing for it. So
Awesome. And I see you have your own podcast.
yes. I did put it on the back burners at the moment, but it's called Today's Entertainers with Little Dog. And it's basically the same thing where I interview actors, writers, directors, stunt people. I started doing a little bit more of the shorter type interviews versus the longer ones where I can edit them and do on the spot interviews. So a little more guerrilla style, 10, 15-minute interviews that I break down to 3 to 5 minute segments, some of them maybe 90 seconds just for promos. But I'm about to start picking it up. I had one of my kids kind of move in with me, and I converted my old studio room into a bedroom. And so that's the only reason why I put the long interviews to the side. But
Yeah.
it's kind of cool because I use StreamYard as well.
Yeah, I found StreamYard just a while ago, and I thought it was like the better offer to like use. It seems to work really well. I like it.
Oh yeah, it's very good. My previous producer, we had switched to StreamYard towards the end of our connection together. However, there was a lot of drama that came up, and so we ended up parting ways. And I started doing it on my own, and I found StreamYard to be extremely helpful, especially since I could run advertisements during my live. And so
Yeah, I've seen a couple of your episodes.
I appreciate it. A lot of them are pretty much the same way. I know a basis of where I'm going, but for the most part, it's improv.
Do you like improv?
I actually do. I feel a lot more freedom with it as I get to change things as they go along. Now, in the beginning of my podcast, I was very methodic about it. I thought I had to be within a certain box, and I was kind of limiting myself. However, later on, as it went on, and more of the more recent ones, I've been showing a lot more personality, and I enjoy that a lot more, just because it gives people kind of a little bit more of a glimpse of how I am in my day to day life, which I'm a very smarty person. So,
Yeah. So, what have been like one of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
uh, man,
I know they're all your favorite, but
yeah. uh, I really do like Anderson County. I feel like I stepped a little bit further out of my comfort zone, taking a bigger role than I had before. And I felt like I had a little bit more character development to where it's a little bit more of my better work. I do stuff with Film Hub Friday and IRM Films every Friday here in Dallas. And I enjoy those as well. Those mostly just end up as little shorts and promos on YouTube. But we always have fun out there with some of my friends, like the director out there, DBB. He cast me for a music video a long time ago, and then it was like, "Hey, I have this idea for every Friday." I'm like, "Sounds good to me." And my agent, she said that she actually approves it for like, she'll include it as training for me for it since it's all improv. And so I was like, hey, it's been very helpful. It's a little group that I get to join, and he plans on doing castings for the rest of his movies that he has coming up this year out of the group. And I'm just happy to be there, be a part of it, and just keep furthering my craft. So
Do you travel outside of Texas for work, like for your acting or modeling?
I do have a couple of projects coming up out of state. A couple of them are more, I guess, time period pieces to where they're about the Revolutionary War time. And I'll be going to South Carolina or North Carolina for those ones. Uh, I have one that may be coming up in England. And then there's one that they're waiting for funding on, but I may be going to New Mexico for another project.
Oh, nice.
And so pretty excited about that. I don't only do those, like I also do like stickball, which is a Choctaw game. Uh, and it's not part of my tribal culture, but it's something that I've gotten into being here in Dallas, and I travel around for that as well too. A couple of tournaments over in Oklahoma, and I just got done with the World Series, which was in Mississippi.
And how do you like that?
I like it a lot. It's honestly the World Series thing kind of helped out with a big, I guess, confidence boost because
Hmm.
I was kind of because our little practice is kind of small, and I've only been to a couple of things in Oklahoma. But whenever I went out there, I was like, man, I don't know if I can compete on that level. And uh, me being 38, and I've been on a weight loss journey, so I'm not as big as I used to be. And I was able to take a couple of hits, keep going, had several tackles, and disrupt a lot of really good shooters. And I was like, you know what? This is really fun. I enjoy it.
That's good. It's always good to have something else besides work
Oh
that you
yeah.
do.
And so, but I've been on, like I said, I've been losing weight here lately. Ever since I got into acting, I started to care a lot more about my image because for a while there, everything was pretty bland and kind of repetitive. Even though I worked outside, it was repetitive to me because it was the same thing over and over and over again. Uh, and so I had a lot of background in depression, and getting into the acting kind of helped me out a lot, put me back on to where I cared about my presentation again. I've lost about 100 and I want to say 130, 140 pounds, about
That's
140 pounds.
amazing.
I was nearly 400, and now I'm down to 260.
That's
And so
amazing.
trying to get close-ish to my fight weight, which was around 200. So still got a little ways to go, but it's been hard work.
Who do you hope to work with one day?
I would like to work with Adam Beach, very well-known Indigenous actor. There's actually a lot of different actors I would like to work with. I think that are really amazing. I would like to work with Samuel Jackson. I think he's a really cool actor as well. And Johnny Depp has been one of my one of my favorites as
I
well.
think he's
So
on a lot of people's lists.
yeah.
I know at
And
one point he
then
was definitely on mine.
he just seems like a very cool guy to work with.
Yeah, he does. He
And then
does.
I did get to meet a couple of big actors that I would like to get more sustained roles on. Like I got to meet Billy Bob Thornton on the set of Landman once. Really cool guy. Is a lot smaller than I thought he would be, but it's really cool. He walked up, he greeted because they tell us as the extras, don't talk to the actors. If you talk to them or start a conversation with them, you're going to be released from set and that's not to come back. And so they say, but if they talk to you, don't ignore them.
Right.
So you kind of got to tiptoe through the gray areas. And he greeted me, and then he saw me the next day on set, and he went by and he greeted me again. And it was just, I mean, he's just a really cool guy.
Nice. So, what's some of the best advice you were ever given in this industry, whether it be your acting, writing, modeling?
Uh, it came from a gentleman named Jeremy Burgett from Legacy Casting. And he told me, he goes, a lot of people think that acting has a lot to do with skill and talent and all this other thing. Well, it does have something to do with it. It's more around 10% of what you need. 90% of acting is your look. You want to be in the right place at the right time and how you look. Most casting directors don't know what they're looking for until they see you. That's why they ask for the headshot and then they ask for a demo reel to kind of see how you do. Acting can be taught, looks can't be taught. And so he said that I have a look for it and that I'm one of the, because for, especially for indigenous actors, we're extremely small percentage. So that's why you see a lot of the same native actors in just about almost every movie or every TV series. Like Dallas Goldtooth, he made a pretty big impact on Res Dogs. And
Mhm.
then after that, he went on to bigger productions as well. And then Mo Brings Plenty, he's in just about everything. And so there's a very small pool of us out there, and there's kind of more of a pull to try to get us to, I guess, join mainstream a bit more. And Taylor Sheridan's one of the ones that's helping out with that. He's a very big ally in the Indigenous community, as he includes us in regular world where most other films just kind of forgot about
Yes,
Native
type
people.
like yeah, just
And so it's pretty cool.
typecast you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so.
I'd like to
Uh,
see like typecasting kind of just be no more of a thing
mhm,
personally, because I would like to see just everyday faces looking
for
back at me
sure.
at the projects I'm looking at or working on, or that's my goal too,
Oh
is to
yeah,
do stuff like that.
and I've enjoyed it. It's been really fun. The one that is come up in England, if they get the funding, I actually play Portuguese. And so I do get other characters as well, as long as it's within, more or less brown skin. However, there have been a couple times where I apply, even if they didn't have a role for me or that one that matched me, I would still apply. And a lot of times the casting directors would take a look at me and just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna write you a character." Or
That's
production
nice.
would take a look and say, "I'm gonna write you a character." And so I just apply and always apply. And if you, especially if you're in the demographic, just apply anyways, because you never know, you may be what they're looking for. So
That's really good. What would advice would you give someone who's looking to do what you do? Like maybe
uh,
someone younger who's kind of nervous and wanting to join the entertainment industry.
find out your local castings for background and take a look at what goes on set, because it's not as glamorous as it always looks. One of the biggest things in acting is hurry up and wait. And so you'll be standing there doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And sometimes you may stand there and not see anything at all. Maybe you'll see something else on set that you like a bit more than acting. And, just go for it, really, because you never know what's going to happen. And like I said, most of the times, most actors nowadays are just overused. And some of the people are just looking for fresh faces. And so start off as an extra, see if it's something that you like and you want to pursue. Uh, there is, a lot of cost that associates once you start moving up. However, it doesn't really cost anything to be an actor. You just get your pay and you get the easy job pretty much, which is creating the world around them, which, you know, even though it's easier, it doesn't mean that it's not important, because without extras and without everybody else creating the world around the actor, it would look pretty silly.
It really would. It
And
really
so it's
would.
definitely still an important role.
Yes, and I mean, I do say that even lead actors are important, correct? But it
Mhm.
is the background actors that make the whole film, the whole TV series come to life.
Exactly. Because then, I mean, if they're just sitting inside a restaurant by themselves all the time, it's like, hey, where is everybody else? Are they in this world by themselves?
It starts to look like a creepy Stephen King movie.
Exactly. So, being an extra is not unimportant. It's actually super important. So, and
Absolutely, I would agree.
and I still do a lot of background roles too. I'll still go and apply for like Taylor Sheridan's. Like not so long ago, I did Frisco King, and I'd actually just signed with Linda McAllister about the day before. And so I was like trying to avoid the cameras, be like, hey, let me walk on the outskirts, try to stay out of the way, see if I can possibly get an audition. And then one of the first ADs that's always worked with, I've worked with a lot, and especially like on Bass Reeves, he saw me, he was like, hey, little dog, come over here, take a look at this gun. And I looked over, I was like, oh, dang, there's the camera. And so a lot of times, getting camera time as an extra is really cool. However, when you start moving up, if you get seen too much, you end up getting what's called burn to the series, which means that, you've been visible as a background, so it's hard for them to place you in a role as a speaking role. And so you can kind of get stuck in that area. So something to kind of consider. I mean, because it is pretty cool to see yourself on screen. I have several times, and I was like, hey, that was me right there.
Do you
And
feel
so
comfortable seeing yourself on screen? I know some actors don't mind it, some totally hate it.
it's all right. It does feel weird because then I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I look kind of funny. Or is that what I really look like?
It
And
can make you a
so
little self-conscious. It really can.
a little bit, yeah. So that's why I also started losing weight too. I'm like, man, I was really, really big when I started. And you can kind of tell, especially like in some of the fast freeze ones. Like my face was like this big in the in the blow up, and I was like, man, I was really big. And so, but I feel a lot better energy wise. I started feeling a lot more energy now, and especially being on set because we filmed all those winter scenes during the summer, and summers here in Texas can be pretty brutal, and you're wearing wool, and so because they were supposed to be winter scenes, and
Yeah, I can
so but
imagine.
and so you end up losing a lot of sweat and everything. So staying hydrated is definitely important.
That's amazing. You have done so much in such a little time, it seems. Like, do you feel like it's easy to balance everything? Do you have a lot of things coming up, like besides the films that you have in pre-production?
uh, at the moment, I'm kind of more or less on a training break, and that's why I do the Film Hub Fridays and trying to make sure everything goes on. Because even at the roofing company I work at, which is Alpine Roofing and Solar, I ended up getting promoted to manager here, and so still trying to build my team and get things going and make sure that everything's balanced out. Because while yes, it's easy to take to get paid on some of those roles, however, it takes a couple of weeks for it to come in. And so you do got to have maintain your job while you're doing it as well, so that way you have a steady flow of income. It's not, hey, I'm getting all these roles, let me just jump off the job train and
Right.
do this full time. It doesn't really work out that way. You got to build it up. It's kind of like that's why I say that, for me personally, sales has been very similar and mirroring as far as doing acting because it goes like this. Sometimes you're up and you're busy. Other times there's absolutely nothing coming in. And so it's kind of the same in construction and sales as well. Every once in a while you're doing great. Now you're in a dry season. So you got to kind of balance things out on your own and make sure that you put money aside and have it built up and still building your cash flow. That's for me. That's why I like the 1099 stuff is because I don't have to ask a boss, hey, can I take this week off? Can I get permission to have this off? Because when they cast you as an extra, a lot of times they may give you a little bit in advance notice, but whenever you apply for it, it's going to have the date that you need to be there on, and usually about 2 to 3 days beforehand they'll reach out and say, hey, congratulations, you actually need you on set for this. And so having the freedom to be able to take off whenever to go do any acting jobs really plays in my favor. So
Yeah, it definitely is nice when things work out like that.
oh, for sure. And one thing that's really big in sales is communication, which helps out, I believe, in this as well too, because we have, anybody who does sales knows there is a script. However, you personalize it to the way that you talk, the way you do things, which is the same way it is on set. You have a script, but personalize it. Bring the character to life. You are the person that's the line. That's not just the script itself. There's times where I'll change wordings just to something that fits the way that it feels more natural to me. And so that's the same way that I do with the sales too. Is if it's not fitting, because what you say to one person may mean something else to another person. And so whenever I'm sitting there, I get a good feel of who I'm sitting across from. I get to know them, get to know their lives, and We talk about the damage that's on the roof, of course, and the process that it goes through. And a lot of times people can't tell whenever I switch from, visiting to going straight into, hey, let's get this locked down and going with the flow and get, the inspection done. And so I'll get the agreement a lot of times just through conversation, which is all that sales is communication and trust.
That's some really good advice for people who are listening and watching and just being curious of entering the world of the entertainment industry. Even
Mhm.
though you have sales mixed in, that's great because, like you said, it becomes very useful in being able to incorporate that into everything you do.
And it helps out in personal relationships as well, because you learn different techniques, such as, I understand how you feel. However, instead
Yeah.
of saying, no, you're wrong,
Yeah. Right.
it helps soften the curve. So even in personal relationships, it helps out with, diffusing different things and being less chaotic. Because I'm not a big fan of chaos, especially in my life. I have chaos everywhere else. I'd rather have, peace at home. And so it does help out a lot of it. Sometimes, people aren't as receptive. However, it does help out because I use it all the time and it's become a major part of my conversations. And so it kind of lets them know, hey, I understand what you're saying and I'm listening to what you're telling me. However, this is how things are different in our situation. And so it's just a lot of really good techniques.
It does. I mean, it's nice when you can pull from things that you experience on your day to day.
hmm And so, that's what uh emotion wise, you get good at showing different emotions, showing sympathy whenever people are having a tough time because people want to know that you care and that you care about their lives and that their situation, that you're concerned about what they're concerned about. And so, I'm making a point to remember things that we talk about with different homeowners. If they're going through things, I'll ask about it later on. Be like, so is everything okay now? Are you doing great? How is this going? And so they really appreciate it. And so my oldest clients are, from back in 2015, whenever I first started in the roofing industry. They just continue to call me back because I'm honest with them. I show them the proof and I explain why it'll get approved, why it doesn't get approved. And I'm not there trying to just say, hey, your roof is damaged, just call the insurance company. Here, sign this. You know, I know a lot of people that do that, but it's never really worked out for me because I'm not that aggressive kind of person. Let me lead you and show you why and show you the evidence. This is your property. Is this what you want to do? I'm here to advise you and I'm here to help you if you need my help. So,
That's a really good way to approach everything, to be honest. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed learning about the things that you do outside of your acting and your roofing. But for all of those who are watching, you can find Little Dog on the upcoming Anderson County, his own podcast, the Today's Entertainers with Little Dog. So thank you so much, Little Dog, for joining me. I truly appreciate it. And it's been fantastic.
not a problem. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.